to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is someone who is currently writing LL everywhere. It's Lisa Leahy. Thank you for joining me.
Glad to be here. I love that I have my superhero name, or my supervillain name.
Whoa. So there's Brightburn, Brandon Bowers. What is... Breyer. Yeah, Brandon Breyer. I was thinking ice cream. Oh, man.
Have you not had dinner yet, Mark?
No, I have not. And that would be delicious. And I have these yogurt bars in the fridge. They're Greek yogurt bars or like something aha. I don't know what they are, but they're like really delicious.
Are they good? Because they don't sound good.
Oh, they're so good. So good. And I saw one of those before coming up here, and now I'm like dreaming about a yogurt cookies and cream thing. But what would so Brandon Breyer, Brightburn, yes. Lisa Leahy. So yes. What would it be? Lightning.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not very fast.
Lightning, light. So Brightburn, light.
Lightning is good.
Yeah, lightning, lampshade.
I do dance with a mean lampshade. Yeah, that's not a bad one. The lightning lampshade. That could work.
No, that would be a Mystery Men character right there.
Oh, that absolutely would be. What a disaster. I could be the laughing lightning.
There it is. That'd be horrifying.
Oh, yeah.
You're out on a walk, and you just hear a giggle in your ear, and then...
Yes, that's it right there. That's my name right there. I'm the laughing lightning. And it'd be, like, written in a cool, almost Metallica sort of style.
Whoa,
my two L's.
Oh, wow, like a hair metal band.
Absolutely.
You don't want to
be done.
As long as it's not, like, lingering lightning or loitering lightning, because I don't want that hanging around.
No, that wouldn't be. Yeah, it's not as scary if it's always there.
Whoa. That's a great point. Now there's lightning again.
Yep.
Just walk around it.
Yep. Yeah, just, it's you still here? Yeah, sorry. I haven't gotten my act together. Sorry.
You got to pay rent.
Don't mind me.
Yeah, get out of my house. I'm tired of wearing these rubber boots everywhere.
Like, damn it, there's that giggle again. You have friends over. Like, what is that? Oh, that's just the lightning. Ignore her.
Hey, we're
trying to get her out.
Wait, this doesn't sound like a superhero or a supervillain. It's more of a super in the middle.
Super annoyance.
I mean, you can wreck stuff when you want, but
who feels like it?
Yeah, exactly. Because then it gets boring. When you first got your powers, you took over 3 small countries, and that just got boring quickly.
Yeah, because I mean, when you don't have to put much effort into it, then it's no longer fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you these teams, these sports teams, and yes, I'm not a Patriots fan. I live in New England. I'm putting it out there. When you have the same team winning over and over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, I grew up. It was like the Bulls, or it was the Cowboys, or it was whoever, and just it gets boring. You want somebody else to take down. You root for the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you take over 3 countries just for a snap of your fingers and the lightning is taking everybody out, it gets old.
Yeah, I could see that. It's not because at first you're not really thinking about the consequences. You're just really going after your powers. But then,
I mean, yeah.
After you've leveled 3 countries, you're kind of thinking to yourself, whew, I did something bad here.
I guess if you have a conscience, it's more like, okay, so what other challenges are out there? You start having a sort of existential crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I am all powerful and there's nothing that, really gives me a challenge, what am I doing? I guess I could take up crocheting.
Oh, but that's tough with lightning hands.
It would be.
You would just burn it all.
You'd have to use you can't use a metal hook. That would create some problems.
So you gotta just you have to have, could you use rubber gloves? But you can't really do that with rubber gloves.
Yeah, see, it takes the creativity out of it. It makes you kind of like a Butterfingers.
Yeah.
You'll be able to feel the yarn as you go.
You need Edna Mode to set you up.
See, she would really have the idea of how this could all work.
But then you might blow her up on accident.
I guess. I mean, I could try and behave. As long as she doesn't look at me the wrong way. But, she's got a mouth on her, that one. Who knows?
Would you send lightning from... So you probably can shoot lightning from your fingertips. Would you rather just bombard them from the sky or just get on the ground and get it done?
I would be sneaky.
Yeah.
I would be sneaky. You wouldn't see me coming. It would be the kind of thing like I'd walk past you on the street and I'd kind of just sort of send one after you. You wouldn't know it was me.
It's people, clouds of dust everywhere.
Yes, pretty much.
Well,
like... I'm shady that way. It would have to be a sneak attack because just the look of surprise on people's faces would just be my entertainment.
So you just sit at a park and just randomly zap people?
Pretty much. Yeah. Sit there with my sunglasses. You don't know that I'm staring at you, but you're the next one to get hit. Yes,
Wait,
absolutely.
last year, when whatever team you hate the most was going to score whatever point that would have beaten your team, were you the one responsible for blowing that person up?
No, because I'm a fan of a terrible team. It was definitely the team's fault. I cannot take responsibility for anything of the kind. I am a Jets fan. I am the worst of the worst. So no, their terrible season last year was definitely on them. Although I got to a point last year in football where I got mad when they won a couple of games because I was like, damn it, you guys were headed for a perfect, awful record. Why did you have to ruin it?
Yeah, that's a great distinction.
I thought so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you're that terrible, you got to be entertained by it, you know? I mean, I feel bad for them because it sucks to lose all the time. But for me, and when people come at me for it, I figure, I'm no threat to you. What do you want?
Yeah, I was a Tampa Bay Rays fan I grew up in Florida. And so when they were horrible all those years, and people were just like, well, who are you a fan of? Tampa Bay Rays? They're like, oh, I got nothing. Like, okay, keep going.
Tampa Bay's got DJ Kitty.
Oh, they're right now. They're unbelievable right now. I mean,
I'm all about that cat.
Yeah,
that's the best.
They're so Oh yeah, but now they're good, and so people are kind of, oh, you're on the bandwagon. I'm like, man.
Exactly. This is what happens. It's like when the Sox all of a sudden got really good.
Oh.
I mean, remember that series between the Yankees and the Sox, and the TV stations did like the Star Wars themes, and it was the evil empire was coming for you, and the Sox took them down, and now the Sox became the evil empire.
The Sox are the evil empire. They really are.
I'm not a Sox fan. I'm not against them.
Yeah, Kurt Schilling and his bloody sock.
Oh, the sock, of course.
Red Sox. And it had to be Red Sox. Oh, brother. Hey, so speaking of red, Brightburn. Let's
get back onto what we're talking about today.
So you and I, we've been on episodes of The Lamb, the large association of movie blogs. They have their podcast where we go on there and just pick funky teams and have some fun. And then you came on to Deep Blue Sea, the podcast, and we had a blast.
Super fun. And
then you joined up on Movies, Films, and Flicks Facebook, and you've been awesome on there. And I don't know how it happened, but one day you brought up, someone brought up Brightburn, and you made a comment where you wrote, I love Brightburn. And
I absolutely do.
A light went off in my head because it's a movie that I have a weird relationship where I love the idea. I know a lot of people really gravitate towards the ultra violence in the film. There's something about it that I want, and this is very picky, and I hate when people say it, but there's just something missing from it for me. And I guess I wanted to talk to you about it to maybe figure out why I think I'm missing something from this movie. But first, like, what do you love about Brightburn? Because I love your taste in movies, and you love this movie, so I want to know what you love. And I'm not putting you on trial. I'm genuinely curious.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I learned a long time ago that my taste in movies is strange. I'm a horror fan first and foremost, and I like anything that will surprise me, makes me over the moon happy. When I saw James Wan's Saw in the theater, it's the only movie I watched in the theater twice on the same day, because that last 20 minutes completely blew my socks off, and I'm like, I need to see this again. So anything that's got a trick to it, I'm happy. I love a well-written, ambiguous story where you don't know who to trust. I love an unreliable narrator, but I've always been a villains girl.
Got it.
So the post that you're talking about, you asked for people's, I think you said top 5 superhero films.
Yeah.
And here comes me with Brightburn, because I like a villain, and I don't think they get enough attention, especially living now in the age of Marvel. When Iron Man came out, I thought it was excellent. I'm a big Robert Downey Jr. fan. He's one of my all-time favorite actors. And so that was great. But then I remembered the summer that The Avengers came out, that first film. And a friend of mine is a huge comic book fan, knows his stuff backwards and forwards. In fact, when Iron Man ended, I had to text him and say, okay, see this scene with Samuel L. Jackson and the eye patch? I know this is important, but I don't have the faintest clue what I'm looking at. Explain it to me. So it's become the new trend where if I'm in a theater, I usually sit in the back and I text him while the movie's happening, because I'm like, I need you to explain this. I need you to explain this. You can't just go to a comic book store now and pick up an entire anthology and catch up. But I digress. Sorry, this is what I do. So that summer, the Avengers came out, and it was okay, but it was all about the heroes, which is fine. If that's your thing, great. To see all of these guys in one film together must have been mind-blowing. But Loki did nothing for me as a villain. I thought that the weird metallic machine snake things, those were too easily dispatched. It was boring. That was the same summer, though, as The Dark Knight Rises. And I thought Bane was outstanding. Like, here's a guy who doesn't care, and he's just gonna railroad everybody. And I loved the sound he made, like his voice.
Brightburn.
Oh, God, I thought he was amazing. Like, Hardy ripped that role to pieces. It was incredible. I want a story. I want a character that's going to make me sit up and notice, isn't easily dispatched. You know, that's always my complaint. That's my biggest complaint with Marvel, because I think their best villains are Killmonger from Black Panther and Ebony Maw, who is like, you know, Thanos' henchman. I called him the Crypt Keeper until I figured out what his name was. You know, he's got a smart mouth, and he's a foul,
dangerous. Yeah.
Oh, he was so kind. All fun. I wanted him a lot. So then this movie comes along. I see little bits about this because, you know, most people are sick of me saying it, but I gave up trailers years ago. So I heard about this movie that was sort of like, you know, what happens if a Superman type kid landed, but he was evil? And I was like, I'm in. Thank you. That's all I need. I love that there's a villain. I love that he's just evil. I'm interested that I like it as much as I do because of a certain couple of things. But he starts off human and he goes evil. I say that with the air quotes around it. But there's no hero that's gonna like flick their hands and off he goes, and now the villain's gone and the hero has saved the day again.
Yeah, there's some stakes to it, right? Because there's no hero, and a lot of these people are just doomed that come across him.
Yeah, they're all screwed.
Yeah.
And it makes me sound like a really frightening person. There's something to me about the villain getting away. There's something to me about, and I was thinking about this earlier, like, how do you define this kind of thing? I like horror. People like horror movies because it's a safe way to be scared. It's a safe way to be unsafe in the moment. Mm-hmm. But being safe isn't scary. You know, like, you watch a movie like World War Z, and you've got Brad Pitt as the hero of this PG-13 zombie movie. You have a scene where he's trapped in a basement lab with all the zombies coming, and not once did I worry that he was in danger.
Yeah.
Because it's Brad Pitt. You know, Brad Pitt is not going to be a Janet Leigh, a Drew Barrymore, somebody who dies. You know, he's not going to die in his film, so I don't worry about him. This film, all, you know, the gloves are off. You know, it's going to be what it's going to be, and he's going to take out everyone who turns on him, which I found interesting. He's not just inherently evil. He goes after the people who wrong him.
He sure does. Well, what about the cops? They're just in his way, correct? So they are a product of... Yeah, that's true. They're sort of a bad timing.
I mean, this poor guy's just trying to solve a mystery, and...
I really like what you said about that, and I listened to the commentary on this from, you know, I found it to be interesting, and thinking about James Gunn, where, you know, he's made Super before. He only produced this, he didn't write it, but he directed Super, he made Slither, he had a part in Belko. He kind of likes to explore, even when he's just producing, these darker territories of...
I do love Belko.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting about Belko is, I think Slither is amazing. And I think it's amazing because it pulls no punches. There are some truly grotesque moments, and the language is just horrible. But it has this interesting heart. And then I watched Super, and what I found about Super is, I mean, this guy fights crime by hiding behind dumpsters, and his violence is ugly and gross. And he's basically delusional, and it's just such an ugly movie, but it's in he fills it with some humor in there, and it eventually builds to a heart. Belko, McLean took that movie, took Gunn's script. I feel like he dropped a lot of the humor and just went mean. And I like Belko, but that's not a movie I want to watch much because it gets mean. Talk about no hope, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, part of it gets mean, but what I find fascinating about Belko is the human psychology behind it.
Yeah.
Like, you're put in a situation where it's kill or be killed, and that there's nothing else to it. It's as simple as that, and people will do dirty to you.
They will. That's why I like with Gun Explorers, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, I've always been fascinated by dark psychology. I like those dramas about like the dark suburbia, like things that go on behind closed doors. Like, yeah, you have a perfect lawn, but you're really struggling behind those closed doors, whether it's a sad drama or, a thriller or
People
something
under
like
the
that.
stairs.
Yeah, like anything like those weird, creepy kinds of things where you just go like, are we all like this? Like it's the ambiguity is what really fascinates me, and it really grabs my attention. And like I said, it all comes down to I like being surprised. I like having to figure things out. If it's all wrapped up in a cute little bow, I'm bored.
Got it. Yeah, this movie's definitely not wrapped up in a cute little bow.
No, nothing's cute about this.
Can I pitch you a little something, and then we can talk about the movie a little bit more and the characters and backstory? And
Yeah.
I hate doing this because there are these things. There's things on YouTube where these people go how to make a movie better or how to fix the ending, and I generally really dislike those because you are taking a product that was made, who knows how it was made. Maybe it was rushed. Maybe it had production issues, this, that, and the other, and it didn't have any time for hindsight. And then you're just going, this is how it'd be better. I find it to be there's a lot of hubris in it. Mm-hmm. I think this is how I would make Star Wars Empire Strikes Back better.
Oh, God.
And then it gets 8 million views. And that's a hustle, and I appreciate it. And people write those scripts. There's a lot of production value. And even what they say is thought out. So I don't want to dog on that. I just want to, but when I was thinking about Super, I was just thinking to myself, I like that's about this 12-year-old kid, but he's just a 12-year-old kid. He hasn't experienced love from like a girl. He hasn't experienced a job or he's never done a sports team. Like he's just a young kid. And I thought maybe it'd be interesting. Not like I love Chronicle, but I'm not thinking like that. A kid who's maybe 16 who maybe or a girl, either or, girl or guy, doesn't matter who. They have a boyfriend, girlfriend. They're on a sports team. They have a job. They just got their car. They're a good, and I like too in Brightburn, this isn't a bad kid. Yes, he has the frog and like the magazines, but that's a 12-year-old. He's not, there's no really outward signs of serial killer in him. But even though some articles have pointed towards that, it'd be interesting to see an older kid and build him up a little more. Show him at work. Show him at school. Show him or her with their like boyfriend, girlfriend, or just more interactions with the parents, and then have the thing get turned on. And I think when that kid ultimately have the same ending, just dropping the spoiler, dropping Elizabeth Banks, but it's and just smush, by the way. I think there would be more story there because this kid is losing, and this kid is experiencing this. So when Brandon has his quote unquote heel turn, the kid just hasn't had enough time to really register as a character for me. I think I love the idea of what if it's not Superman, and that story's been told forever. I like the idea that this kid becomes possessive, and his emotions are of a 12-year-old. You did me wrong. I'm going to do this, and I get it. I think the motivations are fine because a 12-year-old can't process emotions, and 12-year-olds do lash out. So I get it. But I just think with a teenager with more to lose, and just maybe a little older, a little more acting chops, you could have a really dramatic, sad, funny, really tragic story in Brightburn. And that's kind of what, I guess for me, I love the idea of the villain winning. I love what you said that there's no hero. And the gore in this movie really catches you off guard.
Oh, it's so over the top.
But some of the gore, when she gets that thing in her eye, I know it causes her to see red, but it felt like gore for gore's sake. I love it when there's a reason for it, or when it just, but I don't know, what do you think about that? Maybe make the kid a little older and have those experiences, introduce him more, and as opposed to a 90-minute movie, maybe a 105-minute movie.
I don't know. I think that I don't know, I could be going too far into this. I could be going too English teacher on this one. But I think there's an allegory here for the age. I think the age is significant.
The like puberty, right?
Yeah, I do. I think that there's an element here where and of course what would happen is if it was a teenager, now you've got Carrie, now you've got Carrie White dealing with that kind of stuff. So then I feel like by putting it into this age and making him, Tori's baby boy, even though he's 12, he's at that age where he's no longer a baby, where he is becoming, his own kind of young adult, young man, but still, middle schoolers. Middle school isn't crazy. I mean, you want to talk about a horror movie. I feel like we all deserve, they talk about participation trophies. I think we all need trophies for surviving middle school, because that's the 10th circle of hell. But he struggles to be an adult. Middle school kids, they want to be adults, but they also need a hug. And that's Brandon. I feel like his father gives him this awkward talk while they're out hunting. I mean, like, this is hilarious, because you've got the guy who was a stoner when he was a kid, and now he and his wife adopt this boy, and he decides to have the talk after they find some bathing suit and bra ads under his bed, under his mattress. And so it's like, okay, well, it's okay, son, to have these urges and to do these. And really, the father's talk is what prompts Brandon to show up at Caitlin's house that night, because he was given permission that, hey, if there's a girl you like, you can act on those feelings. He was actually pretty darn vague in that talk.
Yeah, it was very uncomfortable. He did not do a good job there.
No.
No.
And you know what? I'm no parent. I can't say that if I had kids that I would act any better. But, I sat here and I cringed and I went, oh, you really should have said a few more things there. Like, you started off well and then you just veered off. But I don't know. I think that if it was an older individual, I think we'd lose the baby. We'd lose the baby in Brandon. Because, I think if it was a teenager, teenagers, their brains are still developing too. What do they say? It's not until like 20, 21 when your brain is fully formed.
Yeah, totally.
So, some of us are still working on it. I don't know. I think the fact that it's a child, even at 12, is really what gives this the punch that it does. And I have friends, a good friend of mine, my comic book friend, has told me he's very uncomfortable with this movie. Like, he likes it, but it just sits with him wrong. And I think it's because he's a parent, number one. And number two, like, there's really no hope in this movie, both literally and figuratively, if we're talking about a Superman story.
And it's pretty...
It's just...
Oh, sorry.
This kid doesn't have any... I don't know. I can't get you there. Like, there's no positivity coming his way.
And if you look at his parents, too, there's... It's interesting watching these parents, because I can't really talk about this, because I've never had a 12-year-old sleeper agent, wasp, a wasp as opposed to a bee who infiltrates and takes over and, does all that. So I can't speak to that. I guess for me, I wish there was a few more scenes here or there. I just want, when this kid turns, I never felt for the kid, because the kid felt more like an idea. To me, there's no connection with the kid. I mean, you watch, this is a horrible thing, but a Spielberg movie with the little kids, you just like those kids immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the director had directed a ton of movies. I mean, David Yarovesky, he had done a bunch of music videos before. He talked about that, and his wife was actually the costume designer on this as well. So they worked together on this. And I don't know. I just never felt for the kid. I liked the violence felt pretty crazy. It has an interesting idea, and I like that about it. I guess I just never connected with it on that level. And you know what's interesting is I think you and I both have fondness for villains, because my favorite superhero film is Unbreakable. And part of what makes that great for me is Mr. Glass, played by Samuel L. Jackson. And
he's so good.
I understood him. This is a guy whose bones break easily, so he thought, hey, maybe there's someone who doesn't. And so he causes all these accidents, hoping that someone would live miraculously. It's devious, but it makes sense. It's very comic booky. And then I love Batman Returns, of just watching Danny DeVito eat fish and bite people's noses, and watching Michelle Pfeiffer just have so much fun with the role. And I guess I do really lean towards villains, but they get more time. Brandon doesn't get that time for me. And I know it's a kid actor and they're asking a lot of him, but I just never connected with him.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. And for me, I guess that's what keeps me at arm's length. I mean, I love the car bit. I mean, they had a giant crane in that scene, and they dropped poor, Matt Jones.
Oh,
They dropped him on his. So they had the shots with him in the car. They didn't drop him in it, obviously. But when they dropped that thing, it had some weight, and I liked it. I mean, that's a cool scene.
That's an incredible scene, definitely.
When that sheriff gets obliterated into just nothing, I mean, that is, or with the cop coming after him, and there's some really neat. I mean, the violence is quite wild. And then when he drops his mom, it's really visually impressive for the time. And this is a movie that only shot over a period of 2 months. This is not. I mean, this is only I wrote some notes. They said it was about $6 million budget. So they didn't have much.
It looks good for that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're looking at this and you're saying, how much did this cost? $6 million. You're thinking this is a really good looking movie. So you understand why they're the budgetary constraints. You understand the time limit. I mean, if you make a 2-hour movie, that means it's much more expensive. So you obviously have to cut it down. I guess just give me 2 more scenes with the kid. I don't know. I don't know. And also, they made the kid an outsider at school. It would have been interesting to see the kid, but I guess he's alienated, so when he gets the power, he's angry. But it would have been interesting to see the kid maybe be liked. I don't know.
I agree with you on that. Like, that's that trope in the world where it's always the weird kid.
Yeah.
And it's just in every context, no matter what there is, it's always the weird kid. It's always the fringe kid. And that's what people point to because they figure, oh, well, you're weird. It must be you, no, it's not always the weird kid. Sometimes the weird kid is the nicest one in the room if you actually talk to him.
Yeah. Look at Homelander from The Boys. Right?
Yeah.
Like he's not the weird, like he's been horrible life, but he's not the weird kid.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, like you see, and I think a scene that would have been good, or a couple of scenes that would have been good, where, he's got that scene when he's answering the teacher's question, and you think he's going to be caught off guard because she cold calls him. And it's the question about the difference between bees and wasps, and he shows off all this information that he knows, a little bit of your foreshadowing. He gets picked on, but Caitlin, this girl in front of him, turns around and says, hey, it's the smart kids who, whatever it is she says, who rule the world eventually. It would have been nice to develop that a little further because instantly she becomes, like his crush, and she's the person whose room he ends up in. And then she's totally freaked out by that. So then in the gym class, she drops him on his head. I was like, oh, I hate that scene where he hits his head.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we needed a couple of extra scenes where maybe they eat lunch together, or maybe, she, as they're leaving the class, she turns around and says, oh, have a good weekend, something a little more than, just, hey, you're the smart kid and I acknowledge you. And I mean, I had heard that there was a possibility of her becoming the hero, like her being the one who would foil him eventually. I don't have more than that, but I don't know if you found that in your research. It would have ruined it for me.
Yeah, it would have.
But, because one of the reasons why I like this so much is because there isn't a hero. Because if there was a hero, he would have been dispatched and that would have been it. And it's not about the hero, this movie.
Yeah, and I don't want her stopping him. No one's powerful enough to stop this kid. And it's just a couple, maybe the kid's good at soccer. I don't know, just not. Like, remember Chronicle? I love Chronicle, but it's the outsider. Yeah. It's always the outsider. And I guess for, like, Carrie, she was quite gawky, and she had the abusive mother. It'd be nice to see the kid who's not the outsider becoming that kid. And now, because I think there's this trope where the outsider's the angry one. I bet a lot of these kids who are at school being either the bully or any of these kids, they probably got issues at home. They just, I don't know, they deal with them. So I guess I just wanted something different than that. And I guess because of that, I just never connected with the kid, which...
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a really good point, because you're right. It would be cool to see the popular kid become the villain, because that's never the move, Yeah. The kid who's doing just fine and ends up getting bitten by a radioactive spider, okay, Peter Parker's a little dorky, but he's not a complete outsider.
Yeah, exactly. And have that, I don't know, have that kid become the villain. I don't know.
Right.
I know that's weird, and I don't think it's nitpicky. It's just maybe it's what kept me at an arm length from this film. And just so when I saw the violence, I went, "Whoa, that dude's jaw is destroyed." Her arm, and when her arm gets broken, watch that scene again. It's a gigantic hand getting snapped because they brought a prop on set that was too big. So if you watch it again, it looks like it looks like a gigantic man's arm when they break it. It just I don't know but I a $6 million movie like this that gets into the theaters with the cast it has, with the look it has, I have to admire, because I've worked on a ton of film sets, so I appreciate the work that went into it. I guess for me, I wanted to bring you on because I've read people who, I don't know what they're like, yeah, this is better than every Superman movie, or this is the best Superman movie. And I'm like, is it?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, but there's fans out there who are that dedicated to this because I have to deal a lot with reviews for my job and audience comments. And so I've become really attuned with how the trends of how like cult classics go or how people receive movies. And a lot of Brightburn comments about, yeah, this is the best Superman movie. And maybe people just love the idea of it. And it's a good idea.
Yeah, it really is. It's definitely a good idea. I do think there's definitely corners that need to be hashed out more, like this language that he's kind of tripping into and where this spaceship actually came from. And, are there more coming or something like that? I gotta say, if that opening sequence, that prologue, when the ship crashes and you look out the window and there's this dark red glow. Sorry, I'm not rushing over to it and taking whatever's in there out. I've seen War of the Worlds. I'm not going after the thing that crashes. Yeah. So it just seems like, okay, I'm going to suspend my disbelief here for that. But to say this is the best of the Superman movies, it's just not. Because I think it's just not. I could stop there, but I like to ramble. It's an exciting Superman.
We're both teachers. We ramble for a living, so it's cool.
Oh, I mean, seriously, and English teachers, this is what we do.
The hour-long class isn't going to fill up on itself,
There's nothing worse than asking me a yes or no question because it's never going to get a short answer.
It's funny you asked that.
I had my junior English teacher in high school used to say, eschew excess verbiage. It's just like, cut out the crap. And it's like, no, this is more fun. I think what people like here is that it's different. It's not the same old Superman film. And I think the Superman film has a place. I have a very soft spot for the original Christopher Reeve Superman. I saw Zack Snyder's Justice League recently, and I thought that was done pretty well. I know that there is an entire lore back and forth in which iteration of Superman or Bizarro Superman or all these. I don't know this stuff, so forgive me if I misspeak on any of them, but there's all these different versions because they keep trying to retell the same story. And there's going to come a point when that gets old. And old is boring. You want something different. And so I think people are grabbing onto this because Superman is the pure embodiment of good. And good will always triumph. And in the real world, that's what you want. You want good to triumph over evil. But this is a movie. I don't want good to always win because that's what I hope for. I want an escape. I want something that's going to get my heart rate up. I want something that's going to be exciting and maybe make me worry a little bit like this does. I find that more interesting.
So it's no wonder that Game Over, why you went and watched Saw twice in one day.
Oh, God. The Charlie Clouser's score for that film, when I hear it, I am immediately transported back to that seat. And that last 20 minutes, it's one of my favorites. I just love it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh God, it just makes me happy. And then, as a teacher, I don't get to show Saw, unfortunately, but having shown movies like Memento and The Usual Suspects and watching my students watch those films for the very first time, it's just like the highlight of a career for me.
Oh yeah. Whatever, this is probably 13 years ago. I showed I Heart Huckabees to my humanities class, and they loved it. Yes. Oh, man. Oh, gosh. Hey, so how about this? Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will talk more Brightburn. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And Lisa, I'm going to drop something weird on you. I want to know your top 3 favorite moments from this movie.
Top 3 favorite moments from this movie. Okay.
Are we going to get a list with 14?
No, I would stick to the 3. In fact, what I was pondering was, do they have to be ranked, or can I just give you 3 in no particular order?
Rapid fire. No ranks.
Okay, so the first thing that comes to mind is when the lights are flickering out and you can see him hovering outside the window and you just see those red eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I see those red eyes, it's like, yes, this is the best. I wish when he was at his aunt's house and you see her, whatever that room is, there's like a black square to the left of the frame. where he eventually shows up, and I really, 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 really wanted to see those red eyes show up there and just glow in the dark. I gotta give that the car accident, where Uncle Noah, where his jaw falls off his face. Because in the theater, I'm pretty sure I, said something out loud. Because it's one thing to get a jump scare. It's another to have a jump scare work on me. That was just outstanding. And then this poor guy, he's trying to hold his face on, and he's just drowning in his own blood. And then when he finally lets go and you get another shot at, like, I imagine sitting at that writer's table and people going, okay, so this is going to be bad. And then somebody just going, yeah, but what if we did it again? It's just so evil. And then you brought up when he drops his mother from that super, super high height. That is my nightmare. I don't remember the movie Cliffhanger. I remember the beginning of Cliffhanger, because there's nothing more horrifying to me. And thank God, please God, don't ever let me experience it. The idea that you are just falling to your death and there's nothing you can do. You can't grab onto anything. There's nothing that's going to catch you. You're not going to accidentally hit a rock and stop. It's just free fall, wait until you die. And I think that's awful.
We've talked about Rennie Harlan before, and I just watched Cliffhanger again for an episode. We were supposed to do a 20-minute Final Fights episode, and it ended up going 50 minutes. But people like it. They're having a lot of fun with it. But that fall, Rennie films her falling for an excessive amount of time. I have never just thought, wow, this is a lot of falling. And it's brutal. But you're right. The different angles that they show that fall, just oof. And that's
what I remember about it.
When Tory Breyer's dropped, that's definitely in my top 3. When the officer, I have his name right here. Oh, Gregory Allen Williams, Sheriff Deaver. When Sheriff Deaver gets wiped out.
Blink and you miss it. Like, in the movie theater, I was like, wait, what the hell happened? I need a remote.
And so they didn't have a lot of budget. The director talked about that, and they didn't have a lot of budget, so they just wiped him out. But that's one of those moments where you don't have to see it all, because it's just so gnarly. Oh, man. And then when Noah gets dropped, I mean, that's just, you have a crane in the middle of nowhere holding a car up in the air and then just dropping it. I love a good practical effect. I love that they destroyed a car. I love that they dropped it from a high height from a gigantic crane. I wish I would have been there. That would have been a lot of fun. I like a good second unit shoot. Those are definitely my 3 favorite on there.
Honorable mention to that scene. Let's throw this in there. So I got 2 for this. 1, you've got the fact that the car is malfunctioning, and so when he kind of gets it to brighten up, he gets the lights on, and Brandon is standing ahead of him, a couple of yards away, on the ground. And then the next time they come on, and he's floating, and Noah's like, no, time to go. I'm like, yes, that's a fantastic moment, because that's real. Yeah. If any of us saw that, that's exactly what would happen. That fantastic Tracy Morgan gif that's out there where he's like, nope. We would all be there.
And that guy Badger from Breaking Bad sells that moment for sure. No, I love that. And what did you think about the Brightburn suit? So Autumn Steed was the costume designer, and she was on the commentary with the cinematographer Michael Dallatorre, and then the director. There was the 3 of them on there, David Yarovesky. They were quite open about talking about the film. And now, I'm a big fan of production design. I teach production design. I'm a big fan of costuming. In this movie, though, they draw they create something interesting very early on, where you have Brandon being carried in a red blanket, dropped by a red thing. And throughout the movie, Brandon wears red. And the family, they wear blue. Now, I get that from a storytelling, psychological, you are seeing different colors. The kid has a red hood with gray sweatshirt. Then he has almost entirely red soccer shirt. So he goes from some gray to red. I like it, and I like that they thought about the wardrobe, and I think that's important. And they also wanted the costume to look homemade because a child made it. But it just, I guess you're never in doubt who the villain is. So when you see that red, it takes, I mean, they don't want the kid in a black color, right? Because that, the significance of that. And I don't know, Brightburn, red. I guess I couldn't have done any differently.
It's not very subtle. I feel like there might have been something extra that could have been taken away, something that could have been edited out of that. I don't have any recommendations.
Well, how about in Get Out, right? The couple in the beginning, they dress the same. And then she starts, in the middle of the movie, she wears a different top than he does to kind of signify she has some red on her. And at the end, she's all in the crisp white, kind of cultish. So that's more subtle right there. You know, like she's dressed like him, then she pulls away a little bit, then she's crisp white. That's a much more subtle costuming. And I hate hating on this thing because it shows they put thought into this and they didn't have much time. And I appreciate that. But once again, it's like this kid's going to turn evil. So then the surprise, I mean, the trailers gave it away. But
that's why I don't watch them.
Yeah, exactly. You just know this kid's evil. And
I do.
But I wonder if there's a different way to approach, and we obviously don't have any correction. Like, we're not saying, I have no way to make it better.
Right.
But the red thing in the beginning, it just seems very, you just know where it's going, right? And maybe I like catching things I didn't catch. But as soon as I saw this movie, I saw it. I didn't need the commentary to tell me that. Even it put thought into it, and I like it. But I don't know. What do you think about all the red?
I agree with what you're saying there. It's not one of those films that each time you watch it, you're going to catch something else. You know, I think it's a very simple film. I think it is what it is. There really isn't any ambiguity here. You're not wondering about, well, if he had done this, it just would have gone differently. No, you've got a kid who's evil, and he's wreaking havoc on everybody. And he didn't start off as evil, so that's kind of the tragedy. You know, like the baby, you know, puberty turned him evil, maybe. I think you're right. Like, I think that maybe if the colors had changed a little bit more subtly, like you're saying, you know, his room doesn't really have red in it. I think that maybe if there had been an extra adjustment, like maybe we start seeing more of it in the bedroom or his backpack or something, we really only get his development from that notebook and how he's constantly like kind of creating this emblem, if you will. But there really isn't more than that. You know, like we don't see, it would have been interesting to see that ski mask kind of thing in a different context. Yeah. And then now he's made it into this creepy mask that he uses. I think that would have been interesting. You know, the mask kind of reminds me, and here I am talking about how I don't know anything on comic books, but I've been reading Neil Gaiman's The Sandman series, and Morpheus dreamed that helmet he's got, where it's kind of got this long, almost like plague doctor-ish kind of look. This almost has that. Like there's this weird sort of like elephant trunk thing coming off it, which never really made sense to me other than, well, what is this thing? It looks interesting, as opposed to just, here's my ski mask that I ripped up a bit. And again, like, I don't, like you, I'm not looking to bash on it. I just think it's, okay, budget, maybe they didn't have time, maybe they tried a few things, and this is the one that looked most unsettling, and this is the one they went with. I'm willing to suspend that disappointment, let's say, because the rest of the film, you know, caught me in so many other ways. Yeah.
And Autumn kept trying to talk about the mask, and then David kept interrupting her. He did that about 6 times during this. And I was like, just let her talk about the mask. Like, I want to hear about the costuming. And he kept interrupting her. So I was like, just give me the mask. So maybe I'm a little frustrated from that. I have it in my notes, too, in all caps. Like, let her finish her story.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
Yeah, but I mean, but once again, for a $6 million movie shot over the course of maybe 20 days, 25 days, for the budget it had, it's still effective. And also I think it was really hampered at the time because that was when James Gunn, so remember they were going to go to Comic-Con with it, but James Gunn was under fire for those tweets that he had. So then he didn't show up to do that. And then the movie kind of got tainted by not having his name on it. However, James Gunn, though, I mean, Belko Experiment did not make much money. Slither did not make much money. Super did not make much money. It's a really interesting thing about Gunn where he makes these cult classics that or produces them or writes them. Well, his scripts are Dawn of the Dead and Scooby-Doo made bank. But I think it's interesting that he has these cult classics out there that he went from making Slither and Super, which basically made no money, to doing Guardians. But then he was able to tone down his R-rated aesthetic and hit the PG-13 without being totally watered down. And now he's just a global superstar. But when he directs something on his own, his R-rated movies, they don't really make money, or his produced movies, or written movies. It's really interesting that he has this incredibly non-mainstream style, but he's able to blend it into a mainstream style.
Yeah, he's definitely got a niche aesthetic. I can't watch Slither. I saw it once. I will never do it again. That's an Achilles heel for me. The creepy crawlies, that was not a good time for me. It was a grand time for my buddy who dragged me with him to see it and laughed at me the entire time. Because as much as I'm a horror fan, that's not something I need to see again. But it's interesting because Belko came out the same day as the live action Beauty and the Beast. Oof. And this thing was doomed from the beginning.
Doomed.
And I still carry on and say, well, I went to see the right movie that day because it was me and 3 other people, whereas everybody else was seeing Beauty and the Beast, which I still haven't seen. And I've seen Belko at least 3 or 4 times. But again, these are not movies for everybody. And I recognize that. I know that my tastes are usually kind of offbeat, and they're not for everybody, but I embrace my weird. I think there's an audience for most things, and this is not a movie that people are going to crow about the same way people are not going to crow about Joker. A lot of people who saw that film never need to see it again because it was disturbing and it's unsettling, and the general movie-going audience doesn't want ambiguity. It doesn't want the villain to get away. It doesn't want unsettling, uber-violent occasions. You wonder sometimes why the Coen brothers do so well, because all of their movies have that, uber-violent moment that catches you completely off guard. But I don't know. I just think that it's got its place. I think it knows its place. I don't think it tries to be anything more. I don't think this was ever a film they thought would be a blockbuster.
Mm-hmm. Just make a good $50 million worldwide on a $12 million budget. Do maybe like a $15 million marketing spend. Pull in some bank. Make Gunn and his brother and cousin happy.
Right. And I think that's interesting. You get this element of, make yourself happy, not necessarily make everybody else happy. You make Guardians so you can make a movie like this, or so you can put some money towards something like this.
You know what I worry? Sorry to interrupt. What I worry about one concept idea movies is movies with just one concept. It's very hard to make. I mean, when you think about Alien, it's an alien gets on board a spaceship, explodes from someone's chest, and murders everybody. That's a very simple concept, but it's very hard to do right. So I think they had this Brightburn, and the idea of what if a Superman 12-year-old kid was with Superman's powers turned evil. That's wonderful. And I think sometimes you get lost in that single idea. I don't think they did it. I think they succeeded here. But I think it's got to be tough sometimes to just have that, base it on a gimmick, right? And then make it thrilling. It seems like they're more focused on getting him evil than making people feel for his turn to be evil. Because did you feel for Brandon in this movie, or did you just like that it was different, that people had no hope, that you had that vibe with the villain winning?
A little of both. I felt for Tori, and I did feel for Brandon, because as I was watching it again to talk with you, I was just sort of watching his motivations. And he's, the boy who plays him, oh God, his name is escaping me.
Jackson Dunn.
Jackson Dunn, thank you. He's got these soulful little eyes, and he just kind of looks at you like a little wet puppy. And you have these moments where he's just looking at his mother, and then his mother tries to literally stab him in the back. And then, he goes hunting with his dad, and he's looking out the window, and he's so excited to be hunting with his dad. And then his dad shoots him in the head. And he turns around, and he just looks at his father, and he's like, you too? I do feel for him, because, and then that's a funny scene. You kind of laugh out loud, because he shoots him in the back of the head with a rifle, and he might as well have hit him with, I don't know, like a paper spitball.
A grape.
Because there's absolutely no reaction.
And then gets his eyes burned out of his head.
Oh my God, yeah, he got it bad too. And he looks at his kid, and I gotta tell you, he's looking at his kid, he's saying, please, Brandon, no, don't do this. And I sat here and said to my TV, I'm like, dude, you asked for it. Yeah. Don't try and shoot your kid in the head.
I'm sorry. Somebody shoots me in the back of the head, and they're like, please, don't.
Yeah, you're getting blasted.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all over.
sorry, guy. No, you don't get to shoot me in the head and then think I'm going to forgive you for it. It's not happening. But I did feel for Brandon, like not as much in the beginning, but definitely as he is in this place where he finds out where he comes from. He has that temper tantrum. He's like, you lied to me. I mean, that's pure adolescent temper tantrum. I hate you. You didn't tell me the truth. Whatever it is the parents didn't tell, it's always, quote, to protect the child. But then it's actually, backfires, all these things. And I did feel for him, but I did feel for Tori, because for a while you think, okay, she's going to be Rosemary. She's going to care for her baby, regardless of what he is and how evil he might be. But that's not where this goes. And she tries to stab him in the back, and then you go, well, all right, well, have a nice trip. You're going to fall for a while.
And the kid, it's you're just thinking to yourself, what happens if they didn't do this? I mean, what?
Exactly.
What if the dad didn't shoot him in the back of the head? This is a 12-year-old who's an unguided missile with new powers.
Yeah.
And maybe there is an evil influence, take the world, but yeah, a lot of the that it just goes too quick. I think some of the I don't know about these parental decisions, but these
new age parents.
Stop
these parents who grew up with too much discipline, and now they're just throw caution to the wind.
She's not going to be able to stab him. Think of something else. Yeah.
Nope. I mean, it's the most logical of the chances. Like, oh, the ship cut him. Maybe if I take a piece of the ship, I can kill him. I mean, there was really some thought there. But I don't know. What I do like about this, I'll tell you my favorite thing, is that there isn't a sequel. They're not dragging this out. And I think that you were talking about keeping the simple story simple. And when the simple stories go wrong, it's because they push them with sequels and they keep dragging the story out, and then they try and redo it, and it just gets old. I'm back to that again. I think that this is a one and done. I like it. I'm happy with him getting away in the end. We're not sure what happened to him. He dropped a plane out of the air, and now where did he go? And you have this hilarious newsreel with Michael Rooker. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Talk about this during the credits. This whole thing where he's talking about these other beings, and we don't understand the conspiracy, and something is out there. And I don't know. I found that to be wonderful. I got joy out of that.
And you have the guy, the character from Super, Frank Darbo.
Yeah.
The Crimson Avenger in this world, and hey, stop this guy. And yeah, I mean, but I don't think this movie needs a sequel, because
I agree.
I like it. Tell a nice one-off, and I think that's maybe a very Gunsian thing to do. Like you don't need to see this kid running amok.
And thank God for that, because everything has a sequel now. Every story is dragged out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not somebody who's big for book series and television series. Like my biggest gripe about The Handmaid's Tale is that it did not end at the first season. As far as I'm concerned, that's where it should stop.
Is it still good?
I don't know. I stopped after I watched
got it.
half of the second season. I really did, because I started watching it and I went, yeah, I don't care anymore, because like the story stopped. I like the ambiguous ending of the book. I like the ambiguous ending of the first season. I don't want everything tied up. I think that it's more interesting that way. But again, I'm in the minority.
Thank you for joining me on this. This was, you helped me unpack my feelings a lot more about it. And I think I like this movie more now because it.
Oh, cool.
Well, but I think you spoke to me in a way of how there's no hope, there's no hero, and there are some surprises. I mean, even though the gore is super, sometimes I thought it was a little unnecessary, it caught me off guard. And when that happens in a film, I guess for a $6 million budgeted movie, that's what it's supposed to do. So this was an effective movie that I'm surprised it has such good scores, because it is it's very bloody. And it's a niche film, but it's doing quite well. It's found an audience, and I'm glad we got to talk about it. Because, I don't know, I just couldn't wrap my head around it, but I'm glad we talked about this. And when you talked about Brandon, just, the puppy dog eyes looking at his parents, like, you sold me on it. So thank you. You got me. I just had to process some things about it, and none of them were negative. I just had some questions I wanted to ask. And I think when you ask those questions on the internet, it just makes you look like a jerk. But when you're talking about it, it's kind of, it's nice.
You're a little less of a jerk.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm proud to have brought you to the dark side, Mark. The, the dark side where we have a Brightburn, if you allow me a stupid joke.
Hey.
I don't know. Like I said, I like the ambiguous stuff. I like the stuff that's dark and strange. And, that gore. I mean, think about a movie like Hereditary. Like that movie just slapped you silly with surprising shocks and things like that. And some of the best movies, the ones that we remember, are the ones that completely knock us for a loop.
Whoa. So Hereditary bored me to tears. Because I knew exactly.
Mark, we have to have another episode.
Yeah, let's do it. Please. I knew it's wild. There are some films where I know exactly where they're going. And I can live with them. But Hereditary, I knew exactly where it was going the entire time. And
Interesting.
When you walk towards... It's like you're walking towards a mountain. You just see it far off in the distance. You're like, I'll get there in a half hour. But then you realize it's 30 miles away because it's a stupid mountain and you're just walking straight towards it. That's how I felt watching Hereditary. It just took forever.
Oh, fair enough.
And what's weird is I've watched other films. Like I recently watched a movie I think is probably one of the best horror. I just talked about it. One of the best horror films of the last 10 years, The Dark and the Wicked. I was on that film's wavelength immediately. I knew where it was going. I knew anybody who came in. I had a weird vibe. I connected with it, and I think it's beautiful. But for some reason, Hereditary, it felt. What I like about Brightburn. There's nothing cute about it. There's nothing precious about it. And
that's a good word for it.
There it goes. Now I like this movie. There's nothing precious about it. There's nothing cute. It's just meat and potatoes. $6 million. Let's get there.
There's a lot of meat.
Yeah, exactly. Oh gosh, bloody meat. Hereditary and Midsummer and some of these other films, they just feel too precious. They feel too cute. They feel too. They don't work for me. I don't know. Ari Aster, I think on a technical level is brilliant, and the performance he gets, the cinema. I mean, the production design I teach to my students in Hereditary. The way that they built the houses. It just never spoke to me. It's not like a orb that crash landed 12 years ago, then woke me up and taught me a foreign language. It wasn't on my wavelength. But so, yeah, you know what? Let's do Hereditary next.
Oh, I'm down. I'm absolute, because I am all about, like, Ari Aster, whatever he's going to put out there, I am there.
Oh, wow.
And I would also tell you, like, I wonder, because one of the reasons I think why I like that movie so much is because I didn't have the faintest idea what I was walking into. No idea, because of my no trailers thing. And, that one particular death that we all know about, literally sat up in the theater and was like, oh, Jesus.
Did you lose your head over it?
I sort of did. I don't jump. I don't say out things. I don't twitch. This one, I think people thought I was nuts because there's different things in the theater, in the trailer that I reacted to in the movie because it was the first time I'd seen it. But this is a conversation for another time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We'll bring you back and we'll talk Hereditary. Maybe you can change my mind about it. No, I'm not saying I don't like Hereditary because that would be controversial. Not controversial. That would be me being contrary, or me being cute, like me being provocative. Because on a technical level, acting, cinematography, production design, performances, wardrobe, I mean, all of that, it's score, it's done to perfection. It just never spoke to me. And I tried.
I think that's fair, though. Yeah.
And I didn't go into it with any agenda. I really didn't, because I don't think I'd watch trailers anyway. I watched it in the theater the opening week with maybe 2 other people in there. So I went, there wasn't a packed audience annoying me. I had the optimal experience to watch it. I don't know, it's weird. It didn't speak my language. It's odd. But then there's movies like Lighthouse, Dark and the Wicked, or the movie Devil. That movie's really, I love. I've defended that on the Movie Films and Flicks podcast before. That one's, it's so earnest. One? Yeah, it's so earnest. And
it's a fun movie.
And you know what I like too is the dowdles, the little touches of red on each character that you don't notice until the third time you watch. So the guard, his lapels are red, but all the other security guards don't have red lapels. The woman has red hair, the other one has red nails, the other guy has a red pocket square. So it's really neat, just the different shadows of red and the way they shot it. And Tak Fujimoto from Silence of the Lambs was a cinematographer. I thought he did a brilliant job.
So good.
All right, we'll have to unpack this later. So, but you know what? Brightburn is mean. Brightburn isn't precious. It has no hope. The villain wins, and it's just a good $6 million movie that will find an audience. What do you think?
Absolutely. I agree. Absolutely. Definitely worth the watch.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel good. I feel like the weight's off my shoulder.
Oh, I'm so glad.
I'm currently wearing a red helmet. It's weird.
Yeah, I'm not wearing any red. In fact, I got a Batman shirt on. It's for the villains. This is representing the villains, I promise.
That's right. Well, he's an anti-hero at times, so that's good.
That's true.
All right, cool. Well, hey, thank you for joining. Oh, do you want to promote anything before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'd love to promote the website that I write some movie reviews for every once in a while. I am one of the critical movie critics. You can find us at thecriticalcritics.com. I'm there every now and then with some random horror and occasional YA film. I should actually be putting up a review this weekend or by next week, I think, depending on when it gets edited and put up, for The Unholy, which comes out soon. So looking forward to that. Another horror film to see whether or not it surprises me.
Nice. I'll when I write the post for Movies, Films, and Flicks, I'll add your website in there, and then when I write the post, I'll also promote that website as well, so when people see the thing. But this was great. Thank you. This is productive. I'm very happy. This was good.
I love it. This is a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, and for Lisa Leahy, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.